Now look, this might sound kind of basic, and I promise I'm not insulting your intelligence when I say this, but anytime a moving object hits a worker, that's a struck by incident. Make sense? So you're in danger when you're in the path of a rolling, flying, swinging, or a falling object. Struck by hazards are a leading cause of death, especially again in the construction industry, but everywhere else as well, it's a potential hazard. I mean, ain't that why mom taught us to look both ways before crossing the street? Forget about it. Or actually, don't forget about it. Struck by hazards are going to take three forms. One is vehicles. So when you cross the street, you start from, I presume, a safe place. And you only have to look in two directions before proceeding, right? In the workplace, vehicles can actually come at you from different directions, and they can pose some pretty significant risks. You could be hit by, say, a swinging backhoe. You could be mashed under a tipped machine. Or you could be struck by an oncoming forklift. Anyway, OSHA regs are there to protect both the operator and anyone in the line of fire with standards for seatbelt use, safety checks before each shift, braking systems and warning devices, especially for backward movement. Vehicles with cranes, power shovels, forks, loaders, or anything else that could lead to falling materials need to have a cab shield or canopy to protect operators. Now, to improve your safety, you should learn how the vehicles around you work and what's required for safe operation. For instance, operators, they've got to secure vehicles when parked, move lifted and lowered components to a neutral position after use, and also ensure that everyone's clear before using dumping or lifting devices. They're not supposed to move in reverse unless they have an unobstructed view, an audible reverse alarm, or if another worker is signaling when it's safe, right? They're spotting them. For your own good, though, I want you to exercise caution by moving out of the line of fire, not into some other dangerous area though, regardless of the circumstance, and avoid walking behind moving vehicles. Don't assume the operator can see you. And again, look before you leap, right? Make sure you know that where you're headed is also safe. Now, what about falling or flying objects? Well, you do risk being hit by a falling object pretty much anytime you're below a crane, scaffolding, or an overhead work area, or even a walkway. Do you ever get a sense of impending danger if someone's working above you, or maybe if an overhead crane's coming your way? Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. It's a big no-no. Stay out of the line of fire. Get it yet? So you also risk being hit by a flying object whenever you use, say, power tools, or you need to push, pull, or pry to complete a task. Have you ever maybe felt that kickback from a pry bar or another tool that's used with leverage in mind? Yeah, even in your own hands, those suckers can fly if you're not using proper precautions. So look, in general, wear a hard hat. Stack materials carefully so that they're stable, and use protected devices to keep flying or falling objects from hitting people. You should also know how to safely operate power tools, and really any tool, and wear protective gear on your eyes or face if there's any possibility at all of flying debris. Don't skip the step of performing inspections to ensure protective guards are in good condition, and keep cautious just in case they do fail. Take special care not to walk under any loads that are being lifted by a hoist or crane. I mean anything, right? If you're an operator, you gotta make sure that you block off hazardous areas and post appropriate warning signs. Inspect components to ensure wires, chains, and hooks are all in good shape, all your rigging, etc., and stay within the equipment's lifting capacity. This is huge. Now, if you're doing overhead work, secure all your tools and materials. Use those tow boards, screens, and guardrails on scaffolding and walkways. This is gonna keep things from falling. You can also use nets, catch platforms, or canopies. This again stops things from hitting people. Just because you're not in danger doesn't mean there's not a line of fire situation here. If you're working with compressed air, keep the pressure at 30 psi or at manufacturer specifications. Use the guarding and protective equipment, and never clean clothing with it. Look, that might fly in the cartoons, but not in the workplace. Another area of importance is when you're working with masonry walls. So let's say you're on a construction site. Masonry and concrete walls are especially dangerous because they bear really heavy loads, and they can easily crush or kill someone if they fall. Only those who are essential and actively involved in the work are allowed in this type of area, and only a qualified person can determine whether the structure can actually support a load before it's placed. There are standards for shoring and bracing, and for testing the concrete has the sufficient strength prior to installing any permanent support. Let's not forget a whole other type of falling object that can have devastating consequences: falls by people. In fact, slips, trips, and falls are actually some of the most common causes of death, and the hazards that cause them are present across occupations. All right, so not to make too light of the situation, but you've survived so far without being struck or crushed with all the info I've been throwing your way, right? Let's move on to caught in or caught between hazards.